Welcome back, my fellow casual gamers. Let's talk about the day before. Everyone at this point knows about the day before. Before its release, it had a lot of shady stuff going on behind the scenes with the people working on it, the trademark for the name, and the constant noticeable changes that were made throughout its development. Things just didn't seem quite right with this game. It even got to the point where people just straight up thought that there wasn't going to be a release at all. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and the day before was released on December 7th only to meet vast negativity. It's a very bland game. It tries to be Tarkov, DayZ, and The Division and fails at every turn at trying to do so. The first day this game came out and I watched streamers playing it, I saw maybe a total of 10 zombies max. I've seen videos where there have been some mini hordes, but even then, all you really have to do is run around and kite them in a circle or something. It's not like Left 4 Dead where if those undead monsters get close, it meant you were taking a ton of damage. The PvP aspect seems severely undercooked. I mean, like, get Gordon Ramsay's in here and have him screaming at the top of his lungs that it's raw. I didn't really feel the tension or the adrenaline pumping moments that you'd feel in a Tarkov game, or really any other extraction shooter. All there really was at the end of this was just a lot of running down empty streets to maybe see a zombie or two and the possibility of seeing another player. This game is such a major letdown, and now it's just come out that the studio that developed this game has officially shut down. So it's already bad enough that this game came out and people paid money for it. But on top of that, for the people who didn't refund in time and have decided to stick around with this game in hopes that it'll get better, they're now stuck with a game that'll eventually die off. There's no chance that anyone from that now disbanded studio will work on anything regarding the day before. It's really only a matter of time before the servers just shut down entirely. Today on X, follow me there by the way, Fnatastic, the studio behind the day before, announced that their game had failed financially and now they lack the funds to continue. They also stated that the funds they received were used to pay off their partners. And you know, who didn't see this coming at all? When the first trailer for the day before came out, I wasn't even aware of it. I sort of figured out about it kind of passing through YouTube content, and I think I saw videos on how the game was a scam because they weren't a major developer, and how there was no additional content about the game to be seen past the first gameplay trailer. I personally didn't dive into it too much. That was until we got the downgrade gameplay overview. It's not really called that, but that's exactly what it is. They called it the official gameplay trailer, and yeah, the only thing people really took away from this vid was certain assets that fit into a pair of tight yoga pants, if you catch my drift. Okay, that wasn't the only thing they took away from it, but watching it again now, it's funny how people mention the lack of zombies in action in this gameplay trailer, and then the actual release has even less than that. Then there was this whole thing involving the name the day before and how the studio failed to trademark the name. There was a whole dispute with a calendar company that had the same name. I'm not entirely sure how that whole issue resolved itself in the end, but it looks like they were able to keep the name somehow. Not like it did them any good, to be honest. So months passed, and I remember seeing that there was going to be another gameplay overview on IGN. And there was some sort of hype for this, but not the kind of hype that any rational person would hope for. At least that's how I felt about it. Basically, everyone would tune in to see if there was any kind of progress made for this game and if there was going to be any actual release date or if it got delayed again. The trailer was alright, I guess. It didn't really feel like it was an overview or trailer that fit the style of the day before, but I mean, hey, you know, they got something out. It felt too stylish for a survival horror extraction shooter game that's supposedly an MMO. You'd get to scavenge and explore this totally not empty world, get to shoot stuff, and most importantly, get to drive fancy cars in a zombie apocalypse. Now, I don't know about you, but the last thing that I would want to do in an extraction shooter where I'm trying to get as much loot as possible in GTFO is speed down the street in a zombie apocalypse with enemy players that also have weapons in a very loud, bright, and noticeable sports car. But I mean, that's just me. Maybe I'm the lame one. With the trailer overview concluding and the release date set, people waited to see if this game would live up to the hype that it hoped to produce. Though a lot of people stayed skeptical and basically sat from the sidelines to see the aftermath of this release, me included. But I'm sure there were tons of people who wanted this game to be the next zombie survival extraction shooter that would have them coming back with friends for tons of fun down the line. Well, as we all know now, that was definitely not the case. The game came out and a lot of popular streamers played it like Dr. Disrespect, Lyric, Forsen, and XQC. And across all those streams, one thing was evidently clear. This was not a good game. As I mentioned before, it's just a very bland and tasteless game. The theme of it already seems kind of unappealing since we've already had a ton of zombie survival games like The Division where you can go into dead zones to retrieve awesome loot and extract afterwards, or games like Tarkov where you have those heart-racing moments knowing that things can come to an end when you least expect it. None of that was really done well in this game. You're able to explore the empty city, and I believe there's only a couple spots you can visit. I saw that there was a mall area area, but nothing really stood out to me. The gunplay looked super wonky. Every time a zombie would get shot, there was always this delay that made them stagger after like 2 or 3 seconds of getting a bullet to the head. It just didn't look right to shoot at stuff, and considering that it's a survival game where you have to scavenge for things like food and ammo, it's always kind of painful seeing shots being missed on zombies, knowing that there's players lurking about at a PvP map. Watching some of the PvP events were pretty funny. I remember seeing a clip of Forsen trying to get the drop on someone, and after they traded bullets, they both just sorta collapsed to the floor. But it's clear that this game just had way too many issues to be played competitively as well. I mean, people were having issues logging in with a player peak of 30,000. I'm not a game developer and I don't exactly know what making a game entails for the most part, but I don't have to be one to know that if they're struggling at a peak like that, then there was absolutely no form of stress test to make sure that the servers were stable enough for players. Remember, this is a game that said it was an MMO. Well, once they realized that empty worlds, few mobs of zombies, and rarely any players don't exactly equal to the extent of an MMO, they quickly removed that tag. Overall, not a great start to this game, and it didn't get better as the days went on. The game going on to get an overwhelmingly negative review status on Steam, and which finally brings us to today. Just after 4 days of this game being out, the studio finally came out and announced that it was shutting down. I wish I could say that I was surprised. I wish this could have been a case where it seemed like everything leading up to the game's release was sketchy, but then they knock it out of the park with the official release, but that definitely wasn't the case. This game just didn't seem right from the get-go, and when it was finally released, it didn't sit right with anyone. I would say they should have delayed it again, but judging on what they said about not having enough money to continue with keeping their studio open and having to pay partners, it pretty much would have just been prolonging the inevitable. I almost feel like they released it just to face the music finally. 4 days. Damn, December is just a month of breaking records, it seems. I mean, this has got to be a record, right? Like, when I Google fastest game studio to shut down, just look at what pops up. It's safe to say that the day before was a massive disappointment. To some like me, it's not even really a surprise. It was just kind of expected at this point. Seeing a game like this that clearly didn't have a lot of love and, to me, comes off as some form of cash grab to make a quick buck really makes me appreciate those smaller games that do put a lot of love into their content. You know, games like Lethal Company that know exactly what it wants to be and does a great job at what it does, which is scaring the hell out of you. It's been real fantastic. If the day before wasn't really a scam, I hope the devs of that game are able to find decent jobs after this shutdown. What did you guys think about the day before? Was this a game that you could see was going to fail from a mile away? Did you guys want it to be something great? Did you think it was a scam? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments and let's talk about it. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, this has been your friendly casual gamer, hoping that you stay as casual as I do, and I'll see you next time.